Back at it once again. It's your man, Boss Gang VIP, with the weekly Money Watch. Last week was absolutely fantastic. NVIDIA was the star of the show. NVIDIA made new all-time highs, approached the $2 trillion market cap. The market cap of NVIDIA is bigger than the GDP of the entire country of Canada. That is pretty amazing. I know why you're here. I am not going to take too much of your time. I want you to be able to get some charting in. Before we get started, make sure to like and subscribe to the video if you haven't already, so that you can get the updates as soon as they drop. We did see SPY hit a high, get a shooter on Friday, so I'm interested to see how we start the week next week. I think we're going to have a lot of fun, and I am excited, and I'm looking forward to it. But as always, let's go ahead and give an update on the Robinhood account. As you can see, everything is going according to plan. Of course, JEPI, JPQ, lots of things hitting all-time highs. And we are on a fantastic trajectory right now. So everything is going according to plan. I am going to add to the positions this week. If you know me, I like discounts. So I'm going to buy regardless, but I am going to try to find some discounts that present themselves so I can take advantage of those. As you can see, we are on a pretty steady uptrend here. The market has been bullish overall, but as you can see, we've clearly been outperforming the market. Things have been working out really well. Really well. JEPI, JPQ, our dividends are going to be locked in, I guess, on the 29th. So we'll be looking forward to getting paid those next week. Let's check this out. What else we got? Economics calendar. All right, let's do it. This week, Monday, new home sales. Tuesday, durable good orders, consumer confidence, GDP revisions on Wednesday. Thursday, jobless claims, which those are always interesting. PCE, we got some Fed speak, Bostic, Googlesby, among others. And then we got Friday, construction spending, among other things. Monday, the first day of March, we'll get into the economic data for that, but there are no events scheduled for Monday. As far as the almanac goes, here we go. Monday, typically overall historically bullish for the most part outside of NASDAQ, but it's still kind of like a 50-50 split. Tuesday, the 27th, it's typically absolutely bullish in the market. Of course, these are historical numbers, so NASDAQ definitely extra bullish on Tuesday, the 27th. Wednesday, the 28th, is going to be a mixed market. We expect a bearish day on Thursday, very bearish day before we head into Friday. Friday is the first trading day of the new month, so when you're going to setups, you might want to look for some monthly setups, things that are going to trigger the months. So the first trading day in March, the S&P has been up 16 of the last 24 trading sessions. Again, no news a lot of times is good news. We're going to see how these percentages play out. What I want to do this week, something I don't normally do, I want to actually go and check out some of the tickers that I looked at last week. And I'll, let me see, I want to look at some of the tickers we looked at last week, and we'll go ahead and get to that. Let's see. So one of the tickers we looked at last week, I'm going to continue to look at this week. One of those tickers is AFRM. AFRM, we had the downside triggers for AFRM, and we actually have a new downside trigger today. So we triggered the downside below $38.12. You can see currently we're sitting at $36.98. So while a lot of people are playing a lot of bullish setups, and I'm in a lot of bullish setups as well, there are a lot of things that are setting up these really mean downside moves, and we want to take advantage of those. And one of those is AFRM. And actually, just to give it to you now, I have the trigger for a 2-1-2 3-day. 2-1-2 3-day, or sorry, 3-1-2 2-day. To the downside. No, sorry. I'm on a 2-day right now. So let me go to 3-day. Give you the real information. It's actually the 2-1-2 3-day. Yeah, I got it marked. So it's a 2-1-2 3-day below $36.60. So we want to see if it's going to continue that move down. I talked about how terrible everything was looking last week. So we want to see if that continues that way. One of the other things, there was a couple we looked at. One of them was Snap from last week. Snap last week, we had the trigger below 10.99. Now it's held up pretty strong, although it is below that trigger level of 10.99. So everything did trigger. It's below, everything's below trigger there. So everything's going great. And then we had Chewy as well. Chewy, we had the downside trigger at 16.56. You can see where we're currently sitting now. So if you're in those plays short, everything is going according to plan. Now I am going to start to do this, just kind of give you guys the updates on the things the previous week. As you know, I am a swing trader. So what does that mean? So most of the plays I'm in, I'm actually holding, longer contracts on, and I have more time to manage. What is longer? It can be anywhere from 2 weeks to 45 days. 6 months, a year, 2 years, just depend on the actual setup of the plays. So these are all going according to plan. And so this week, I'm actually going to get into some more downside setups. There's always a lot of people going to give you those upside setups. I try to be balanced, right? So I'm going to go ahead and get you guys some of those downside setups as well. The first thing I want to do though is check out SPY, show you how we finished. Let me give you a clean drawing set. We actually hit some broadening formations up here Friday. Let me go to the smaller time frame so you can see what that looks like on a day chart. You see what that looks like on a day chart. We pushed up, hit broadening formation, started to pull down. I'll show you what that looks like on a 60-minute chart. You can get an idea. So it's looking really crazy out here. So you just want to check out SPY below $57.10. That'll, just set up that downside right there. If it is a shooter, it'll give that continuation right there. So SPY on that downside, you're actually looking at a reversal below that broad information if we were to trigger below 507.10. Again, we just went over firm to the downside. That one's looking really, I haven't even sharing my screen. Hold on. Let me make sure. Let me get back to it. Okay, there we go. People are like, what is going on? I can't see what you're talking about. Okay, let me go back to SPY. SPY on this day chart, we got the 2-2 here. We get that downside trigger here below 507.10. Then we got some room to make some room back to the downside. Of course, we got that gap to fill, so we'll see how SPY looks next week. But again, I'm sticking to these downside plays, even though I have some bullish plays. Of course, affirm to the downside below 36.60. Pretty clean there. Take two. We know about take two. Got some take two. What's the trigger on this? 212. Let's see. It's another downside. You can see, it's just been pushing down crazy. Now, what's interesting, this is right at a 50% level, so it does have technically a chance to push back up if I look at that high low. But I am just going to look for this one to see if it's going to continue down. So we'll get a 212 2-day below 150.85. Now, if it were to fall, we have quite a bit of ways. And one thing I'm going to be conscious of is that we actually do have this 50% like a high low, right? So it could do one or two things. We see where that level is. It could actually push up above that level, but if we get triggered to the downside below that level, there's just really no telling where it could go. So you want to be conscious of those particular levels and these equilibriums where price can, kind of start to push back the other way. But if it falls through, we got a long way down, and we got broad information that will extend all the way down to 110. If you kind of go look at the options chain, I'm gonna start doing this as well, kind of looking at the options chains. And when we start looking at maybe April, you can kind of see what the options chains start to look like, right? So we're going to see how things present themselves as we go forward. The last one I'm going to be looking at is Upstart. Pretty simple chart on Upstart, looking for a 3-1-2-4 hour. Now, the thing about Upstart, if you look at these charts, everything is just ridiculously red, right? So it was kind of difficult to get an entry. Last week, I actually gave an entry off of a 1-minute chart. I believe it was on AFRM, it was on a 1-minute chart. Simply, I'm just looking for the entries that show me who's in control. And as long as I see that a certain party's in control, I'll continue to play that direction. So I'm looking, let me see, go to the 4 hour on Upstart. So looking for a 312 4 hour below $24.21. Pretty clean here. Pretty liquid over there. And again, I'm not, you notice I'm giving you guys April contracts. I'm not even, considering the 4th. People have their own risk profile, but my job is to just set people up the right way and let them know the opportunities that are available. I am looking forward to having an absolutely wonderful week. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe. This is Boss Gang VIP. Share the video with the people you love and stay tuned for the updates. With that being said, get your chart time in. I'm looking forward to having another wonderful week. I'm out. Peace.